Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Market Movers, where we do live analysis for day trading and take a look at hotspots in the markets for today, Friday, June 17th. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. I would normally have Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple with me. Unfortunately, Brian is unavailable this morning, so I am going to be driving solo with you today. What are we looking at today? And the truth of the matter is, there is not much news in the markets. There really is no headline news. We've gotten all of the information that we were looking for throughout the week. We have had quite a volatile week. It has been a massive down week for equities. Right now, we are looking for equities to try to open in the green. We had actually spoken about this earlier in the week and even yesterday, how the markets were looking pretty ugly, but potentially look for a feel good Friday. We are going into a holiday weekend. Remember, we do have the Juneteenth federal holiday, national holiday on Monday. Nadex will be partially open. Will be open for half the day and just our foreign exchange products. So before I jump over and take a look at what we've got going in the markets this morning and what we might see in some places where you might want to take a look, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not uh, construe anything that I say as a buy or sell recommendation. I am doing this for your education purposes. Now, if we want to let me just flip over here to the platform quickly. I did want to remind everyone that it is the holiday weekend. If you weren't certain what is open and what we've got, our amended holiday schedule for Juneteenth is on the platform, and it would give you. We've got a link out there for Monday on all the hours and the products that we've got open. Now, I do want to. I know Brian likes to do this, and I'm going to bring it up as well. The Forex Factory website, so you could take a peek at what is actually up here for news today. And there really isn't anything. Notice everything outside of Powell speaking right now, and now he is speaking about the international. It's an inaugural event on the international use of the dollar. I don't expect him to be saying anything shocking. He is speaking right now. Could he say something? Yes. People, whenever he speaks, notice that it's in red because you could get an indication of what else he's thinking or what else might be on the agenda. So unfortunately, I'm not seeing those comments come live at the moment because we are live right now, but know that Powell is speaking. Other than that, there really is not much of anything to look at. It is going to be a quiet news day in the markets. We really don't have any headline news. So any news that we do get could potentially be market moving simply because no one would be expecting it. So nothing to really take a look at there. In that vein, I want to really just jump over to the charts and let's just take a peek at what we've got. Before I do the equities, I did want to just review what we've done in the commodities because volatility has absolutely been in play in the markets. It's, if we take a look at just this week, and I just want to take a look at just this week, where we've started the week. Where's my Monday? Yeah, I mean gold. It has been a wild ride for gold. Is ending the week slightly lower, but the volatility clearly in play. We've seen wild swings across the board in all of these. In fact, even nat gas, uh, something that even as we've got headlines that Russia is turning off nat gas supplies and trying to put some heat to Europe by limiting the flow of natural gas to Europe. We've actually watched nat gas drop over the course of the week. Now, part of that is we're also going into the time of year where people don't really need it as much. We're not using it as a heating source. We still use it to cook. We still use it to produce energy. But it is rather interesting how Russia is trying to turn the screws up. But I'm not sure that the markets are really caring too much what Russia has to do. We have seen nat gas get kind of beat up. Crude oil, a little bit of the same, but we are still at just absolutely crazy high levels. Um, so the main story here with the commodities is that volatility is still in play, and I would expect volatility to remain in play because it is the core. I mean, when people talk about inflation, what are we talking about? We're talking about the core components of inflation that everyone focuses on are energy, food, and housing. And with the commodities, when you've got energy, we clearly are looking at when you've got food and they look at wheat, soybeans, and when you look at housing, it is the interest rates. Now, we are probably going to see some relief in the housing price market because mortgage rates are now creeping up north of 5% on their way to 6%. That will make things a little bit more expensive for people to purchase houses. I would anticipate to see that cool down the housing market some. So it'll be interesting to see how this all ultimately manifests itself. But clearly, the commodities markets, when we're in a high inflationary environment, we're trying to, and the Fed's making moves to make adjustments, we will see that impacted in the commodities markets. Now, I do want to take a look because this is really what everyone's looking at today, and this is what we had spoken about. Let's take a look at some technical levels that we might see here. Um, Again, very volatile week in the markets. I think it's the worst week we've had since the pandemic was announced. We clearly no one knew what was going in when we had the pandemic. We absolutely got demolished back in 2020. It was late 2020. Now here we are. We're coming out of it, but we've got this real challenge of inflation and trying to manage that against a really, really hot economy and what the central banks are doing to stem some of that inflation. Now, in terms of technical levels, I like to use Fibonacci retracements, particularly after days like, and look at that, we're giving back some of the gains. Still looking to open well into the green. But if I take a look at Fibonacci retracement, and I'm just going to draw this for you so you can see how I do it here on the Nadex platform. And that was really rather interesting. Where's my rectangle? The 38.2 level, clearly some resistance. We hit it and we've rolled. Now, what am I looking at here? Do I think we're going to actually roll back to lows? I personally don't think so. We could, but if we continue on this trajectory, where might we see some support? You know what? I'm just going to duplicate this. There we go. That's going to make it a little bit easier. The 23.6 level, and we've actually done this. We've done this move overnight. I mean, it's almost as though we're channeling a little bit, where we've certainly got buyers uh, here. We've already found support once through this. I wouldn't be surprised to see this come back down, test this again, but we'll see what happens when the retail trader. I mean, wow, they're really pushing it off. But we'll see what happens when the retail trader steps into the markets and in 35 minutes. And again, I don't know if Powell is saying something to have that turn. I mean, I was wholly expecting to see a pretty decent feel good Friday. I would have actually expected to see us at least make a 50% retracement. In fact, if I duplicate this again, you can clearly see that this is also a level where sellers do come back in. So if we do push higher, these Fibonacci retracements are actually giving us some levels of places where to potentially be looking. Again, this is the S&P, and again, I don't know if Powell is saying something crazy that because the market turned uh, exactly when he started speaking. So that'll be entertaining to see. From the S&P, let's take a look over at the NASDAQ. And again, I don't really know. Yeah, the NASDAQ is doing something very, very similar. And again, not a pretty week. Crazy thing with the NASDAQ was we actually had climbed out of the hole. come Wednesday and completely collapsed. I mean, yesterday was clearly not a good day. Let me do some fibs on here. And if we drop these in, we're probably going to see, yeah, we're seeing something. I mean, it's kind of crazy. We're seeing the exact same thing. If I drop in my rectangle, the 38.2, that is exactly where we met our resistance. And by the way, I mean, I hope this helps when you watch me actually doing it, so you can learn to start to do these things yourselves. I'm going to duplicate that. I am going to drop this down. Now, again, I would expect to see some support as we get down. This box is a little big, but that's okay. As we get down to the 23.2 level. And again, the same thing stands true on the upside. Uh, if we do come back, that 50% retracement, we actually hit it um, yesterday. Uh, Now we do know that there are sellers up here. If we get some support here, we come back higher. I would potentially be looking resistance up here, support here. Hopefully we don't. We still do get that green day. It would really, it would be unfortunate if we had a negative uh, red day going into the holiday weekend. Is it possible? For sure. I would actually expect some thinner liquidity as the day moves on, as people check out for the holiday and head out for the 3-day weekend. Let's quickly do the Dow, because we do now, with the Dow. We do have one other thing that could be impacting the Dow. I am going to come back here to. Uh, we do have um, industrial. Now these are not necessarily strong numbers. I mean, notice that they're not orange or red over here. But with the Dow on capacity utilization and industrial production, uh, these numbers could potentially, if they come out way out of line, if these numbers are going to be coming out in 15 minutes, they come out before the open. So I would actually be taking a look at seeing where these numbers ultimately come out, because those ones are ones that would potentially impact something in the Dow. Again, dropping in our fib retracements from Thursday, and I'm betting we're going to see similar-ish. Oh, hold on, I'm a little off on here. There we go. Very similar-ish to what we've seen in the others. Not exactly the same, but we are getting a sell-off right now. I would, do you look for some potential support here? Keep an eye on this 23.6 level. Again, 23.6 across the board for all of them. The last one I want to take a look at is the Russell. And again, you know what? I'm going to take off some of these old fibs from previous retracements. And let's get rid of that. I mean, the Russell has really, I mean, this one's borne the brunt of a lot of the Fed moves. Clearly, rising interest rates going to harm small cap businesses. They'll be impacted the greatest because they're going to be the ones least equipped to finance ongoing operations in a higher interest rate environment. But again, I am going to do the same. Do the same retracement levels here. I want to take a peek and see if we've got the same. And as you can see, not really the same. This is the one outlier, definitely a little bit weaker. The rally back not nearly as strong as it was in the others. Everything weighing on the Russell more than it is on the others. In fact, they're already starting. I mean, they never even found. I mean, this is sort of in no man's land, and we're already breaking through that 23.6 to the downside. All right, with that, yeah, we're keeping it short and sweet. Look at that. We're going to finish on time for the first time in a very long time. I'm going to tell Brian, because he's usually really long-winded, and we usually run a little long, but there's just not as much to go through today. Just not a big news day. We're just looking for some, a little bit of support at the end of a really rough week for equities. A really rough week for equities. With that, if there's any questions for Nadex, please email us, customerservice@nadex.com. And I always do like to put this up there. Brian and I do answer our own emails. If you've got some questions, in fact, I know I've got a couple emails I have to respond to from yesterday. If you're listening right now, I promise I will get to them. because I did not get to all of them yesterday. But if you got any issues, questions, concerns, feel free to reach out to me, todd.rich@nadex.com. And Brian is also always available to answer questions. If you're looking for a coach, Brian is a fantastic coach. And you can reach Brian. You can email him at support@keeptradingsimple.com. A quick recap. We're seeing a little bit of a bounce in equities, hoping for a feel good Friday. A feel good Friday. Maybe see us in the green. Definitely some interesting fib levels there to take a look at on those retracements. And we will be back. Now, we're not going to be around Monday. We are going to take Monday off, even though Nadex markets are open. But we will be back on Tuesday. So enjoy the holiday weekend, everyone. I think it's Emancipation Day, Juneteenth, an important holiday, and I'm glad that it's getting its recognition here in America. Enjoy the long weekend. Brian and I will catch you again on Tuesday. Until then, good luck in the markets, everyone. Thank you again for joining.